Hello and welcome to another tropical update. This would be part two of the three-part tropical update. I'm Adam McDoom from Cameron Hurricane Center, and good morning to all of you. So we are discussing about Invest Area 91L out here in the Eastern Atlantic. Very big and broad, complex area of thunderstorms and a broad area of low pressure and a couple of tropical waves. Anyway, this system should continue off towards the west and develop further down the line. Just to give you the particulars on as such, the National Hurricane Center is giving it a 50% chance over the next 5 days, and also stating, again, large and complex disturbed weather south and southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands, associated with a broad trough of low pressure and a tropical wave. These systems are forecast to merge over the next day or two. Environmental conditions are then expected to become much more conducive for this disturbance as it moves westwards at about 15 miles per hour. Again, here on the floater imagery, you do have the kind of close-up shot of part of the system. When I say part, the system is really massively huge, and it will take it a longer time to get itself more organized because it is a very large system. But here, if we expand it out to the tropical Atlantic, you could start to make up parts of it coming out here, but also all of this out here. This is all a part of the invest area. And let me bring out the pen here. And yeah, so this is our invest area here. All of this is a part of the, here we go, come on, oof. Head's not deciding to behave itself. Okay, so here is the broad area of troughing, broad area of low pressure, and that will continue off towards the west. We have a tropical wave also along here that is helping to clear out the Saharan dust, as you could see the dust along here. And of course, that dust only extends out to such a pretty much moist environment for our system out into the east. So again, as mentioned, the National Hurricane Center is giving it a 50% chance over the next 5 days, and it is expected to generally move westwards. I am very concerned about this system, especially for where it will be heading into, and it will likely be heading into the Caribbean. I'll explain further on that. Also, as you can see on the map, we have Tropical Storm Gert, which will be making its way to a hurricane as it continues towards the north and northeastwards out into open Atlantic. And between that, of course, we got this big high pressure area which will fill in behind Gert, and this will continue to push our invest area up west. And as Gert pulls out, that will continue to fill in, and it's more concerning because over time, as the ridge continues to fill in over here, it would promote pushing the system further and further towards the west, and definite concerns for the Caribbean and possibly for the United States. So here is the surface chart of the area, and focused in on our invest area. And again, tropical wave here with our low pressure area here, other tropical wave out here, and overall just broad area of low pressure troughing with 90L being focused within this area here. And we also have our high pressure out here, which again extends out, and then our tropical storm over here, which will then be moving up and outwards. And already, as you can see here with the isobars here, you can already see it starting to fill in behind Gert, and we'd expect that to continue as Gert continues to pull further and further out. So another area that I like to look at is the 850 millibar vorticity. In a way, this is sort of like, as my good friend Mark Suddeth there at Hurricane Track would say, the vorticity is kind of like the X-ray of the tropical system. You see how the spin is developing or going on in the tropical system. As you can see, very round and tight vort related to Tropical Storm Gert, very strong. And of course, here you can see our invest area kind of broad, strung out with possible multiple vorticities here, and our tropical wave along here. So again, what's likely occurring, what we could see already is that the vorticity along here is already increasing, and it's getting stronger, more organized, and this part of the vorticity is likely going to end up merging into this area here, all of it kind of coming together as it moves further and further towards the west. So we'll watch that over the coming days going forward. But again, sort of elongated, broad area, it's going to take a while to get itself organized, unlike our tropical storm here, which is definitely getting itself much more better organized. And here's another view of it. This is from the East Atlantic view. And again, you can definitely see that sort of broad, elongated, multiple sort of spins that are going on there. And again, this will continue to merge with this part of the vorticity, and all of that will just come together into one as it moves off or towards the west. There are a few other systems that are out over Africa that we'll be needing to watch over the coming days. And there are forecast guidance that do develop a few more systems after this one has moved further out into the Atlantic and these ones start coming off. So definitely would be something that would need to be watched closely. And so, as per mentioned, with the steric flow for the system, here's the general, what we're looking at. General. Let me change the coloration here on my pen so you can see it better. So, probably not the best colors there. You know what? I'll probably put on this. You know what? I'll pop on a nice good red. Hopefully. Yeah. Okay, so our high pressure system out here and our troughing that's occurring over the east and southeast coast of the United States. Here's our tropical storm. And down here is our invest area. And so what's going to be taking place is that as the tropical storm rounds the high pressure and then quickly speeds off into the North Atlantic, the troughing that's over here is expected to lift somewhat. And again, as you can see, with already the steering flow for the system, generally westwards through the Caribbean and then west-northwest to northwest through the western Caribbean, northwards into the Gulf of Mexico, and then up the East Coast. And generally speaking, this is what we are expecting to continue over the next few days. The high pressure system probably pushing a little bit further to the west, and the high pressure ridging to occur a little bit more further to the west over time before backing off again as another trough makes its way down to the coast. So again, about 15 or so knots off towards the west uh, for the next several days. We'll be needing to watch it very closely. So, what's the Saharan dust looking like? Well, I did show you on satellite, but here's the actual Saharan dust product from SIMS. And you can definitely see the tropical wave at front, very large amplitude tropical wave, or should I go back to the other color? So large amplitude tropical wave, and this large amplitude tropical wave is dragging all the Saharan dust and cleaning it out of the way. You can see very little in the way of dust for our area of interest here. You can definitely see uh, our our tropical wave here with our low and overall monsoon trough that extends through broad area of low altogether. And so that will continue to build up and push on towards the west with very little impacts from the Saharan dust. And also, we have our next area of interest there, another one there, a few more out further east, and they too will be coming off and not really have much in the way of Saharan dust. Again, you see these small little particles, they're pretty much on this side of the graph, and frankly, not really much Saharan dust to affect. If anything, the only Saharan dust that would have any sort of effect on that is all the way up here, and all of that's weakening. The Saharan dust season for the Atlantic has peaked and it's falling off, and as we continue through the rest of August, going through September, that'll continue to decrease. But for our system in particular, 91L, very little issues with that. So now let's look a little bit at the model guidance here and there and see where it takes us. We'll look at the much more reliable European forecast guidance, and this is the European ensembles. And as you can see, it generally continues off on a westward track. Does sort of split off a few other lows and develops the other systems behind it. But again, you can see a general track off towards the west here. And again, the Caribbean, much a threat in this system here. And it's quite worrying, especially as I've mentioned in previous updates, and nothing much has changed since then. The ocean heat content, especially within this area, is very much high. And again, get a system through there, and it could be quite a worrying situation for areas of the Caribbean and possibly even, say, the Gulf Coast area. Long range models, and I don't really like to talk too much about the long range because a lot could change, but generally the consensus is starting to go more and more south, putting this through the Caribbean, and there's a lot of them that after it takes it through the Caribbean, sort of lifts it off into the Gulf of Mexico region along here. And so, again, this could very well be a threat towards the southern United States in the future after it gets through the Caribbean. So, first things first, we got to see how well it gets itself organized along here. That's phase one. Okay, and then after it gets itself going, we got to see, okay, how strong does it get before the odds? And then after that, we need to figure out, okay, does it stay south of the grid of these portions of the Greater Antilles, or does it go through it? As it is at this particular run, it goes through Hispaniola and then south of Cuba, and and this has actually been trending south over the last day or so. Before, sort of had it going over Hispaniola, north of Cuba, through the Florida Straits, and before that, out through Bahamas, out before that, out there. So as we go forward in time, this continues to shift further and further to the south. And this is actually coming more into the agreement with the UK Met, which I'll bring up in a sec. But again, definitely something quite concerning for the Caribbean. So you guys in the Eastern Caribbean, this is the one for you guys to watch out for, because you guys probably be impacted first and foremost from this system. And again, as mentioned, the UK Met has a very similar situation here, and as you can see, takes the system out into the Caribbean, and hey, look, see, takes itself through the Eastern Caribbean here, through the central part of the Lesser Antilles, northern windwards, southern leewards, and even a bit further south than the European. Hey, look, here's Jamaica, and we have our system just southeast of Jamaica here, moving on general west to west northwest track. So, you know, it's something that needs to be watched closely. Also to take note, the UK Met and other models, they're all showing other systems behind it. There's one of them that's expected to be another Caribbean one as it moves off towards the west, west-northwest. Another one out here in the Atlantic could be that next storm on the radar. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be busy times ahead. You know, again, we have GART already out there and would likely make its way to hurricane intensity as it continues to move away from the east coast of the United States and away from Atlantic Canada and out into the Atlantic. And we have our Invest Area 91, which is probably going to be a threat for the Caribbean, our other systems to come off of Africa. And as it is, we're getting to that busy time of the year. So if your guys are not prepared yet for the season, please prepare now. Get yourselves ready, because once this thing gets going, the train ain't stopping. You're going to be seeing system after system after system. So get yourself prepared now if you're not already, and stay safe. So this is it on this update, mainly on 91L. I'll be back with another update soon with discussing the overall forecast for the rest of the Atlantic hurricane season. And again, as we go through today, some more updates on GART and 91L. But that's it from me, Adam McDoom for Cayman Hurricane Center, and have a nice day.